Hi, everyone. An absolutely warm welcome to our Me Vision Academy conversation. Right now, how do we decide who to interview? Because in the past, we've interviewed on various media platforms, we've interviewed presidents, former presidents, and top leaders in every sphere of society, even internationally. But right now, we're very specifically sifting and finding individuals who, first of all, qualify as being people caring leaders. They either nominate themselves, they believe they are, or someone nominates them. And we don't stop there. We actually take them through a authentication process. So we actually engage colleagues around them and ask certain questions via a questionnaire to find out whether they are, in fact, people caring leaders. And of course, that just means for us, they've got the right priorities, and therefore we can now talk to them about leadership. And when we say people caring leaders, very briefly, leadership is very often about power through the P's, as we say. P's like position or possessions or prosperity, popularity, profits, performance, prestige, and so many P's. And there are also other P's like people and purpose. And those leaders who prioritize people above the other P's, most of the time, who really do that because they believe in people, are the individuals that we talk to about leadership. Today, we've got Devoshum, Moodley-Veera. She's an integrity activist, thought leader, very experienced public sector executive, PhD candidate, doing a lot of work with whistleblowing. And she's currently the head of risk and compliance at the information regulator. She is clearly a people caring leader and much more than that. But that seems to be an underlying feature of her leadership. And we've got her with us today. Congratulations, Devotion. We really honor and and thank you for being that sort of leader, and we look forward on to building on that foundation of you being a people caring leader in terms of how you feel about leadership. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, just before we move on, why does whistleblowing come up when your name comes up? So you're very actively involved in that. We've had Athol Williams on the show before, or on our platform. And of course, whistleblowing has been in the media a lot over the last few years. Why are you so involved in that?
So first of all, I'm also a whistleblower. I'm a passionate corruption buster. So I believe in authenticity, especially when it comes to whistleblowing. So I need I try to provide recommendations to society and how to protect whistleblowers. So my love for protection of whistleblowers came into effect in 2018, around 2018, when I was involved in a group called the Whistleblower Group. And we were trying to assist whistleblowers to uh, in their cases, in their legal cases, psychologically, also to provide them with funding to try and assist them to move with the day-to-day activities. So I believe that South Africa has a lot to offer, and the people in South Africa have a lot to offer. However, there are hurdles and obstacles along the way which we need to try and combat. So that's the reason why I try to advocate for protection of whistleblowers, to try and help our assets who are whistleblowers to try and make society a better place to live in.
So
So my passion comes from that.
are we shifting? Are we getting better at that? Are we supporting them more and more, better and better? Or are we kind of at a plateau, or is it going better or worse?
I actually think we are getting worse. We are declining. But one of our hurdles is the law, the Protected Disclosures Act, which has a number of gaps and implementation, actually, from an organizational perspective. I feel that sometimes I'm of the opinion that leaders do not engage with the Protected Disclosures Act and do not engage with the whistleblowers to try and help them with coming out or combating corruption in their workplaces. So even with the bill, the whistleblowing bill that is currently out for public comment, it looks very good. It's extremely well thought through. But how it's going to be implemented, because previously, which was very good also, there were a number of legal remedies, etc. But people were not implementing it. Organizations were not implementing it. So we need to try and have a more advocacy, more campaigns, and more collaboration to try and assist on making a robust Protected Disclosures Act and protection of whistleblowers. I'm also of the view that, there's a contentious discussion around whether you reward whistleblowers or not. But for me, I feel that it's an ethical or integrity. You need to have integrity to whistleblow. So why do you need to reward a person if they are speaking out against corruption? Because they're doing this with their own beliefs. Because people can actually abuse that also. If you report and then you get rewarded for something, they can also be abused. Processes can be abused. So I feel that, we need to have a society that encourages whistleblowing, but also try and give them awards such as certificates or trophies, but not monetary value of it, because it defeats the purpose of ethical leadership.
I'm trying to also understand, because we can have a whole conversation about this, but why your passion for this? Maybe the underlying foundation of that is your people caring style. You care for people, or why do you think you feel so strongly about this? And I'm also interested in, what is the big obstacle in our society that's stopping us from making these people heroes? Is it an inherent corrupt society, or is it media is making it look otherwise? I don't know. I mean, what is stopping us from turning them into heroes? It should be a simple thing.
It's actually corruption, because the high levels of corruption that we have in South Africa. Because with corruption, you need to gain benefits in certain areas. So, for example, I contribute to a non-profit organizations for kids homes or for the elderly. So this is something I do on a monthly basis. But I also do a vetting on the organizations that I fund to see whether they are actually corruption free, or they're not going to use the money or abuse the money that I'm actually funding them. So I want to be able to see that the money is going to the right places. So in South Africa, there are a number of leaders, right? We get leaders, but when they are put in positions of power, I think they get corrupt in that sense, because they want to move further along the echelon, and they feel that they are so empowered now, and the egos get too high in their positions, that they end up dealing with corrupt activities. And I mean, for example, I'm a public servant. I've been for most of my career a public servant, and I still believe that I can add value to society, because whatever I do in my daily job, I want to see what is the consequences to society out there, to the person on the roadside, to a beggar on the road. But public servants do not think that, because they just want positions, high positions, and they know that if they make decisions in their areas, they can also end up making a society, South Africa, not to be corruption free,
So, I
because
mean,
that's how state capture happened.
yeah, I guess that's
Because people were they were good intentions initially, but it became such a corrupt driven environment that we have state capture,
yeah.
something that was innocent at the start but became terrible at the
I
end of the
guess
day.
I guess the allure of the P's are the position, prestige, popularity, prosperity. That
Yes,
it's very strong, and and then people forget that, or leaders forget the people part in the process.
yes.
But just let's just quickly get your feeling then. Describe what leadership is to you. How should one lead?
I actually feel that, sometimes the literature or the research out there says that you can either lead from the front or you lead from the back, but it depends as a leader, what do you envision? So for me, I believe leadership is, one, you need to be ethical, right? You need to be an ethical leader. Secondly, you must be able to empower the people that are behind you. And you need to ensure that when you're empowering people, you empower them the right way. You educate them with the essence or the vital point of educating them of their rights and their ability to use those rights for a better society. And I also feel that, you know, you need to have empathy. You need to be able to listen to them, listen to their all their issues, their concerns, even their ideas. Because so currently I manage an intern, right? And I'm taking him through the empowerment process of trying to be a leader. And I feel that I need to empower him to do the right things so that when he leaves the organization, he is a better person out there. He's a better person in another organization.
Mm.
So I feel that you need to walk the talk. Whatever you empower the person to do, the person must your person must also be able to implement what you are empowering the person to do.
Mm.
But most of all, education is very important.
Mm.
People will not be able to know what they what measures they need to put in place or how they deal with situations if you do not educate them. So I have been trying to come up with a pilot study in South Africa, which is called Funky Citizens, to get a number of people together from different walks of life to try and empower society at large, the communities. For example, if they need to read on annual reports, how would you be able to read on annual reports? What do you need to look at in annual reports? And to question individuals or organizations and how they're dealing with their funding. So it's also with SGBs, school governing bodies. If you are sitting in a school governing body, the funky citizens should be able to play a part in how you educate individuals in school governing bodies to address the
Mm.
issues in the schooling system or the education system. So I feel that the most important thing is that you need to be empathetic to people, you need to listen to their ideas and their beliefs, and you also need to empower and educate them.
So, Funky Citizens, how's that going?
Well, I do have around 158 people since February. Uh, so it is going well, but it's at a slow pace, but we are getting there. It's actually I'm so excited. I feel that we're going to empower society, the community at large, with the people that I have in the forum currently.
Okay, so just maybe I'm just a bad listener talking about listening, but you're saying funky citizens. It's citizens who become educated about what exactly?
So it can be on anything. It can be on how do you read annual reports and
Okay.
how do you question annual reports. For example, in government, you need to produce your strategic plans and your annual performance plans. And how do you equip yourself to understand what government is actually doing
Is it a lot
in
about
this report?
it's about a lot about governance, how to educate yourself around sort of corporate or
Yes, corporate governance, accountability, and ethical leadership,
okay.
and actually hold people accountable.
All right. So what's your personal purpose, by the way? What drives you? It seems like it's ethical authenticity.
Ethics.
Yeah, is it ethics? Is that
Yeah,
the purpose?
I believe that we need to ensure that we live an ethical life to prosper. So that actually drives me. So every day when I get to the office, I ensure that whatever I do for the day needs to be ethically sound, and I should not be questioned about my integrity and my ethics. And that's what I'm trying to drive with the individuals that I work with and the colleagues that I work with.
Okay.
So that drives me.
What's your PhD going to be in? Are you still going to do that?
It's on, yeah, currently it's on integrity management framework for South Africa.
Okay, fantastic. Now, why do you prioritize people above the other P's in your leadership? What's your reason for it? And when did it start? Do you know that was there a pivotal moment when it started, or is it did it just come naturally? Just tell us why you prioritize people above all the others.
I think it actually came from my late dad, because he was a people servant. He also worked in government throughout his life before he can pass on, and he opened up a religious community organization in the area that I was born in. So I was motivated by his thought leadership and how it was so community driven to try and ensure that the area that I come from is actually Tongat, and it's a small Indian community that he tried to build. So the passion came from there, where I looked at my dad and I said, "Wow, I want to be just like my dad because he's so society driven and he wants to make the most out of communities." So actually, when he started off with the community driven projects, he went door to door in Tungat to try and get funding and to try and get people to try and build this area or this community.
Mm.
So it comes actually from him. He was really a hard worker, very dedicated to people. So then I feel that I need to also be, or my belief is to help people throughout my life.
Okay, so it comes very strongly from there. That you've educated yourself. Someone in the feedback we received said that they worked with you some time back. You've educated yourself and you climbed the ranks very fast, or something to that effect. What did you study? What's your background?
Okay, so I've studied a number of qualifications. So I'm multidisciplined. I've studied, I did a computer auditing qualification. I've then done a legal qualification. So I'm kind of a fundi in commercial law. Then I've also done forensic auditing. I went to my fraud risk management qualification. I have a number of professional certifications and also ethics. I'm a certified ethics officer. So, so I actually don't think I moved fast in the ladder. I feel that I worked very hard in the area, because I built wherever I went, I left a legacy in the organizations that I was in. So, for example, in government, in the different departments I worked for, I built units. I established a number of policies and procedures around auditing, governance, accountability, and used my skill sets to build the organization that I worked for.
Okay. Devoshum, maybe, old man, do you want to ask a question? I know we feel very strongly about your personal um, best self and true self, how it matches your leadership style and that sort of approach. Do you have a question for Devotion?
Yes, I must admit I'm delighted with getting to understand your heart, Devotion, the way that you explain things. There's a clarity and even a childlike simplicity, which is beautiful. And that's one of the reasons why we created the Me Vision Academy, is to support that. We asked two questions to try and understand leaders after interviewing many hundreds. You've really um, worked hard to realize the first question. The first question is, how true are you to your your true self, your your best self, that innate uh, quality of spirit within you, which you were influenced by your dad as well, and things you've said indicates to us you really have a very passionate desire to be true to yourself. The second question runs parallel with that. And this, by the way, fits very nicely with your passion about supporting integrity, uh, game changers out there. And the second question is, how am I doing in overcoming the resistance or opposition to all those influences that try and corrupt me from being my best self? In other words, with a person like you with a history of fighting the good cause and being true to yourself, how do you combat the many influences? And that's why you mentioned the vital fact that as soon as people get into powerful positions in and outside of government, they often tend to become corrupt. Now, how do you feel you're coping with all those subtle and even evil influences that try and corrupt her devotion from who she is?
So you got those two
The
questions. You happy with those two
yes,
questions?
yes, yes, I am. So, in a nutshell, for the two questions, right? I hold myself accountable. Each day, I hold myself accountable to ensure that whatever I am doing, I do it right, and I do it without hurting any other person in my life, but I do it ethically and soundly, and within my area. So I feel that I need to always question myself to whether it's right. Am I hurting the people, and what would be the consequences of what I do? And the second answer to the question that you posed is that yes, I've been in a number of leadership positions, and there were a number of instances where I was bribed and I was requested to remove certain findings from reports, etc. But I kept myself grounded in those challenges, and I feel that as a leader, you need to keep yourself grounded. You need to ensure that you stand up for what you believe in, and to make sure that people look at you as someone who's strong. Because if you are weak, obviously you're going to be corrupt. You're going to end up being corrupt. So I feel that I'm a strong individual and my beliefs are strong, so that I'm not going to be able to be corrupted in any way possible.
Adrian, we find time and time again the real caring leaders have to have a solid, deep-rooted strength in them or principle, or else you can't be a really
Yeah.
caring leader, because the highest level of leadership is to be a genuine caring leader. Thanks for that, Devotion.
Yeah. No, you
Devotion,
have to be strong. You need to have a strong backbone. You need to be able to say, you know what, I will not do this. I will ensure that that I do everything possible to make things right in our
Mm.
in society and even in government. Example.
something I find very interesting so far about call it people caring leaders is that when we ask them to give us a whole bunch of names of people who work with them so that we can authenticate their people caring value system, they have no fear of that. Now think about that. There are led leaders, several now, that we have invited because they've been nominated as people caring leaders, where we say, okay, can we please authenticate it so that when you sit in front of us, we know that you care for people more than you do for your position and for prosperity and so on. And then they just go quiet. They actually don't want to go through that feedback process, that authentication process. But our people caring leaders have no fear, or people who really care about people, whether they come across that way may not be as much as they think, but they really care about people above all else. They do not mind us going and doing anonymous
And searching for information. Yes.
just seeing whether they are in fact people caring. Do the people experience it the same way? Now, so what role do you think feedback plays? So just hear me out. If you have so much, you've got leaders who go into leadership positions, right? And then something happens with them. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, or whatever that quote is.
Yes. Yes.
So imagine if those leaders had constant, authentic feedback about their leadership on a regular basis, where as they go wrong, as they start stepping in the wrong direction, the feedback comes in and says something anonymously that just shakes them up a bit, positive and negative. Imagine if a lot of these leaders that have gone wrong did not divorce themselves from the feedback of their people, the authentic feedback of the people they lead. What role do you think feedback plays in keeping a leader grounded, in helping a leader remain true to their value system, in helping them perhaps become good people caring leaders because they care how their people experience life? Your thoughts on that?
Feedback is very important because it actually empowers you again. So if I would receive feedback from the surveys that you conducted, it will be for improving myself. It will also be how I reflect myself to the outside world. So I feel that feedback is important to try and address some of your gaps, your challenges that you may experience, and also not to be ego driven. You need to be able to ground yourself in that instance and say, okay, this is how you have been perceived by people outside of your circle, and the feedback that you get from these individuals will empower you to be a better person, because it's through these people that you become a better person.
Mm. I mean, why would one not want feedback? You know, it's quite interesting. The more we delve into, we've built a system called Leader Track, where you can place leaders on Leader Track, and they can have consistent feedback from their environment around them, literally qualitative and quantitative, and they can see exactly how they're coming across and how people are experiencing them and how they're connecting with their people and what they're doing well and what they're not doing well. It's consistent feedback, and that's the whole theory behind this. Why? Because we're seeing that feedback is a big weakness in our society, and you know, I've been in the presence of ministers where people almost bow before them. They're almost treated like gods. So how will they ever be told that they are losing their way? Never. You know, no one's going to tell them you're losing your way. And we need that feedback from young, you know, in our families, as we grow in the corporate environment or climb the ladder in government. Anyway, so Devoshum, maybe, you know, as we wrap it up, we don't want these to be too long. Is there anything else you want to say about leadership that we need in our society? And maybe, old man, if you have another question, you know, just give us a message to leaders out there, Devoshum, that you think they need most. I'll also maybe wrap inside your message, you know, sort of embrace inside your final message why leaders are not engaging whistleblowers enough. What is stopping them from doing that? I mean, why would you even consider doing that? So just your final message with your passion that you have for leadership and for society to leaders out there, what would it be?
I would just say that, you know, take a minute of a day to just sit back and think about what have you done in the past, what you want to do presently, and what you foresee to do in the future. And what you have, if you have done anything in the past that you feel that you need to improve, try and reflect on that, and be much more empathetic towards people out there, because as I mentioned before, it's through people that you engage with that you see yourself in. And you need to be able to, how you portray yourself must be how you reflect, how you see yourself. You need to be confident in yourself. You need to be able to know that whatever you're doing properly will make a change in society, make a change in a person's life, in a child's life, or in a beggar's life that you see on the roadside. So I feel that allow people to speak and embrace that change. Ensure that you embrace that change within yourself and with other people. And you must be able to hold people's hands, not to actually be disregarded in society. You need to hold their hands through this journey, because it's a tough journey out there, but you need each other to build the society.
Devotion, thank you so much. Old man, any final question or comment?
No, Devotion is just kind of summarized, kind of incisively our own mission, what we're really trying to. Thank you for that, Devotion.
Devotion, thank you for being a light. Thank you for standing up for you know, the whistleblowers and being one yourself. Thank you for leading and prioritizing people above the other elements, but still being strong. You know, being a people caring leader does not mean you're weak. It means actually you're stronger for the people, for the purpose, for the mission that you're following. And we really honor you. We look forward to giving you your Me Vision Academy certificate as a people caring leader, or as a leadership mentor. So we're finding true leadership mentors out there with the foundation of caring for people. And we will soon have a visible public certificate hand over to you and talk to you about how we can hold hands more to create an ethical society. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Just bye.
Bye.